It's unbelievable how much better it all works when we can see the person on the other side of the transaction.
I don't care about getting 50,000 views. I care about connecting with the 5 people who want to use me to be their coach.
Docs were getting signed immediately because people understood.
I mean, I've been doing video 9 years, and I still have days that I'm like, ugh.
And some of these people who are quote unquote influencers who have somewhere between 50 and 800,000 followers on Instagram that have been real estate agents, it doesn't make them any money.
It's like, please don't develop your worth based on how many people do or don't watch you on TikTok.
You know, honestly, that's not what people want.
We've allowed them to think social media is a business tool.
But they just didn't know what they were viewing. They just didn't understand what they didn't understand.
Our designers go to work in the background making you look like $1 million. We're able to take effort and turn it into dozens and dozens and dozens of opportunities.
We don't know what we're doing, and we don't know how to tell you what we want until we see it.
You might hate the first run of content you get back.
Yeah.
We're going to make it better.
So it's way easier to criticize than it is to create.
My superpower is I love helping people more than I care about looking stupid.
Guys, we are back on the Agent Bridge with our marketing expert, Kyle Draper. And I wanted to bring Kyle back on. We've had him in an earlier episode, but we've been working with him and on in his business content compounding for some social media stuff. But we wanted to talk about, you know, when we were prepping for this, Kyle, we were talking about agents and their communication and where things are falling apart for them. So let's talk about agents and follow-up and communication and all those things. So I want to kind of give you that lead in. And so let's just jump into what we were talking about yesterday. So what were you telling me?
Yeah, bro. Well, first of all, thank you guys for having me. It's an honor to be back. I don't know that y'all even had any listeners when I came on the first time.
I don't think we did.
You know,
I think we had
like in the
50 subscribers
stage
or something. Yeah, it was crazy.
So it's an honor to be back. Man, so what we talked about, Brandon, yesterday, it's kind of a duality because we know agents need to be in front of the camera more often.
Yes.
But most of the time, the way we position it is you need to be an influencer. You need to try to grow a TikTok. You need to have a YouTube channel. And that's freaking scary.
Yeah.
And so most people don't do it. And so what I've learned, and now almost 7 years of doing this, back to when you and I first met, if I can get people to do one-to-one video, you're still working the video muscle, but the fear of judgment, the fear of messing up, all of that goes away because you're only sending a video most likely to someone that already knows you.
So basically what you're saying is just in your everyday communication with people, just to use that one-to-one video, whether that's follow-up, whether that's, hey, update on the process in the customer service arena, something like that. Just to kind of work that muscle.
I'm here to tell all of your listeners that you are currently robbing yourself of double the referral opportunities because of the way you currently do business. And what that means is if we look at a traditional transaction, let's say a buyer's side transaction. So every realtor, and I'm sure for 10 Oak agents specifically, it's even better because y'all are so intentional. You have a process, right? So you have X number of touch points from the moment I met the Drapers to the moment we handed the Drapers their keys. And most of those touch points are filled with emails, text messages, and phone calls. So when we play out this example, you guys are my agent. Y'all call me to update me on where we are in the transaction. And then you expect me to go home and then tell my wife, hey, honey, talk to Brandon. What did Brandon say? He said we're good. Right? Like that's what I'm going to say.
Right.
And she's going to go, well, what do you mean you're good? Honey, what do you want from me? I'm not a realtor. All I know is I trust Brandon. Brandon said we're good. Yeah. And now, like, the bright lights come on, and she starts interrogating me, and she's like, well, how long were you all on the phone? 20 minutes. In 20 minutes, all Brandon said was that you're good. Well, no, we talked about more stuff. Well, what did you talk about? Yeah. And so here's what I've realized. For realtors, lenders alike, you are allowing a disgruntled member of the family to show up to the closing table every transaction based on the way you currently communicate.
Yes.
Because after the closing, my wife's going to go, hey, how much money did Brandon make?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm going to say, oh, I don't know, this much probably. And she's going to go, for what? What did he even do? Because every time I updated her, I didn't know what to say. And so imagine if a realtor looked at their transaction communication and they said, okay, I'm going to call Kyle to update him. But then as soon as we hang up, I'm going to pull out my phone and I'm going to go, hey, Lana, let's be honest. Kyle's not going to tell you anything about the conversation we just had. And so here's 1, 2, 3 where we're at. If you need me for anything, let me know. My wife is now in love with you.
Yeah.
Because her greatest fear is not knowing what's going on, and you've completely solved it. And now 3 or 4 videos later at the closing table, she wants to give you a hug, even though y'all may have never even met before.
Kyle, that's brilliant, because when I think about you, while you're talking about all this, I'm thinking about my transactions, and usually I'm talking to one or the other,
right
in the course of this process. And you're right, things get missed, and so I'm usually walking up to the closing with the stranger. Right? There's one person who we're like best friends,
right,
and then there's one person that's kind of a stranger. And you're absolutely right. By engaging that other person, now we've got their sphere of influence, their network, right? So then when they're having brunch or whatever, they can be like, hey, let me tell you about Kyle. Let me tell you about RL. Yeah.
Yeah, it's interesting you brought that up, because I just implemented something in my process about 4 or 5 months ago where I wasn't getting doc signed on the lender side very quickly. Like I would send out the loan estimate, the package and everything, and it was taking 2-3 days before we could get going. And so I started filming myself walking through the LE. So I would just do a loom or a bomb walking through the LE. This is what all these things mean. These are the credits I'm giving you. This is your rate. This is the cash to close, all this. And then sending it out, and docs were getting signed immediately because people understood, and they could share with their, I'm sure based on what you're saying, they could share it with their significant other, and then they would both be on the same page. They'd sign and move on. Whereas, usually I'd do a touch base like, hey, any questions? They would say, yeah, not really. We're still reviewing. But they just didn't know what they were reviewing. They just didn't understand what they didn't understand.
It's unbelievable how much better it all works when we can see, hear, feel, experience the person on the other side of the transaction.
Yep.
It's unbelievable, right? It becomes real. We're also, like RL for you in that explanation, you could end up having lenders on like the sell, like potentially sending you deals. Because they over time go, dude, this guy communicates unlike any realtor I've ever worked with. And most realtors are chickens with their heads cut off anyway. And so now you're building this rapport. My wife has an entirely different sphere of influence than I do. Mm-hmm. And so she now has the ability to go, you know what, it was awesome. We bought a new home and like our realtor sent us videos, and just there's just so much opportunity. And we're teaching people how to refer us by just simply going through the process.
Yep.
We buy a new home. We have friends over. They're saying, oh, we love your house. We've been thinking about how much equity we have in ours, blah, 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 blah. Well, now it's so easy for me to go, oh, well, you got to talk to Brandon. Like, let me show you one of the videos that he sent us. And so it's just a simple way to refer without you ever begging for a referral.
Yeah. Yep. We actually just got off one of our Agent Bridge classes where we teach people who are posting to social media to pretend they're creating a video for one person. Like talk as if you're talking to one person. This just takes it that one step further where you're actually just doing more one-to-one video.
Yeah. Instead of pretending, like let's just actually do them.
Let's do more. Let's do more one-to-one.
So let me ask you this, Kyle. Why do you think real estate agents don't do this video thing, right? It's obviously like it's going to work. One of the things that I talk about is like it establishes authority in a way. Like when people go back and let's say, because I had this deal recently where somebody referred me on Facebook, like community page, like on my neighborhood community page. Yeah. All right. So they go and they said, hey, reach out to this guy. I said, hey, Jordan, just want to let you know about, thanks to Jenny for referring me. Let me know what I can do to help. I'm a realtor in the area, live just down the street from you. And he responds back in about 10 minutes and he goes, I was looking through your social media and you said something that I was telling my wife the other day. So you just confirmed we want to use you. Okay, so that's what so it's like, and that was a video.
Yeah.
But I'm like, man, why do agents not do this? Because it establishes authority. It lets people know who you are. It makes you into a real person. Why would you not do that? Right? And what do you think they're running into?
So let's first say this isn't just an agent thing, right? This is an everybody thing. Everybody I know struggled with it or still struggles with it. I mean, I've been doing video 9 years, and I still have days that I'm like, ugh, I don't want to do a video today.
Yeah.
Like, I feel extra fat today. I'm fat normally, but I feel extra today. You know, like, I don't want to show up. So, like, we're all normal. We all have these struggles. And here's what I think it boils down to. Number one, it is uncomfortable because I believe that video is the most truth-telling mirror we'll ever look into. And so when I set up to do that video and I have to look myself in the face, I think my mind reminds me, like, bro, you just had a fight with your wife. And now you're going to go show up on camera like you're somebody, like you're the expert, like you've got it all figured out. Or you just forgot that it was daddy-daughter date night and you worked late. And now you're going to act like you're man of the year. And I think those are very real internal dialogues that we have with ourselves that cause us to regress and think, oh, maybe I'm not really the expert of what I think I'm the expert of. And so I think that's a very real thing. We let our ego drive our social media. And so if we're not careful, I will only try and create content that's going to go viral, that's going to get the most reach, that's going to get the most comments. And so then, because I'm trying to do that, well, I'm not going to just push stuff out for the sake of pushing stuff out because I want to hit a home run every at bat. And so those are the two things. If we can overcome those two things, and Brandy, you've heard me say this before, like, my superpower is I love helping people more than I care about looking stupid. Mm-hmm. And so on days that I feel ugly, guess what? It's not about me anyway. And so I'm going to go show up in front of the camera. And y'all know this better than me. We happen to work in one of the most narcissistic industries in the world.
We do?
And I don't know if y'all knew this, you know?
Yeah.
But so asking a realtor who is used to always being dressed to the nines, always putting their best foot forward, always trying to make it look like they're doing better than they actually are, dude, asking them to humble themselves on the internet and potentially look like a fool publicly, like, that's an unbelievable ask. And there's a lot of deep work that I just think needs to happen before most are just willing to go, yay, sign me up. I want to do that.
We were just having that discussion because so in this class, we're like, hey, we just want you to post every day for a week, something, right? Just to work that muscle. And we knew, we're like, this is a huge ask, right? Yeah. Because it's really difficult for people. We said, hey, look, 2 of those things need to be videos, but we want you to post something every day. And it's just a big ask because you're right. They're like, they're so used to putting themselves, it's like, in the best light. We're going to do that every once in a while. I want to make it look like I'm doing really great. I want to make it look like I'm successful. But honestly, that's not what people want.
Nope.
That's not what people want to see. They want to see the real.
No, they absolutely do. And the other problem is we've allowed them to think social media is a business tool. And so we see everything through the lens of business. So if they're willing to do a video, it's a walkthrough of a home.
Yeah.
Right. If they're willing to do a video, they're standing out in front of a property, or it's a closing photo. And instead, we've got to really help them be convinced that, like, dude, this is a relationship incubator, man. This is where all the people are that you've built rapport with for your entire life. And so they just need to see their friend RL. They don't need to always see this impressive version of him.
Yeah.
And again, there's deep work involved in really helping people understand that, like, you're good enough to show up right now. And so I believe it, and I fight for people to see it in themselves.
Can you expound on that a little bit? How do you help people get through that deep work to be able to do that?
So a lot of different things, but I think the easiest mathematical equation is when I truly boil it down to an agent saying, I want to sell 30 homes this year. And I go, great. How many Facebook friends do you have? Oh, not very many, only 900. And I go, wait a minute. You want to sell 30 houses. You have 900 Facebook friends and you're embarrassed by it? Like, that's pretty good math in your favor.
Yeah.
And when I boil it down to that, a lot of people are like, oh my gosh, I never thought about it like that. And then when you help them understand, like, if I called you and said, hey boys, I've got 50 agents in a room. I need the agent bridge to come teach them up. You guys are going to go, what time does it start? I'll be there.
Yep.
But if your video gets 50 views, you think, we suck. We're the worst. Nobody cares about us. When the same 50 people that watch your videos could have been the same people that were in the room that day. Mm-hmm. And so we've totally perverted like the way we measure things and how measurements matter. And so it really is just about breaking it down practically. That, hey, you know when you randomly go to Target and you run into an old friend and very quickly it's like, oh my gosh, how are you? I'm great. How are you? What are you doing now? Oh, I'm in real estate. No way. We're thinking about. And how those like random moments turn into business opportunity. If we do social media right, we're creating those random moments every single day. And those are kind of the practical things that help people go, huh, I've never thought about it like that before. And the minute I can have that aha moment, now we're beginning to pave a new identity for like what social media was designed to do. And I think they're more receptive that way.
I want to share a story because I was talking to my daughter about this the other night. She's a real estate agent. She's 19 years old. She's going to be 20 years old this year. And, you know, we're going back and forth on this social media stuff. And I was telling her, I said, honey, I've had some of these people who are quote unquote influencers who have somewhere between 50 and 800,000 followers on Instagram. Yeah. Okay. That have been real estate agents. Okay. It doesn't make them any money. Right. I mean, it's not, you know, they think it's like, oh, if you got 1 million followers, all of a sudden you're, you know, it's a cash cow. It is not. It's they're working to build their fame all the time, but it's not actually funneling into like money. And I said, and I want to show you this other guy. He said he has 890 followers on Instagram and he makes $600,000 a year coaching. Okay.
Yeah.
So yeah, you know, two different people like, and by the way, he does use social media, but he was saying, he's like, look, I don't care about getting 50,000 views. I care about connecting with the 5 people who want to use me to be their coach. 100%. And so yeah, it's like, it's not about this, hey, I need to have a ton of views and a ton of followers. All those things are fine, you know, not mad at anybody who has a bunch of followers, but it's like connection, what you said, like relationship incubator. You need to build relationships. It's the whole key.
100%. I just last week I was speaking at Housing Wire in Arizona, and I had run into a big time mortgage executive there that I guess he'd followed me online for a while, and the event was the first time we really got to spend time together. And he sent me a text message that I pulled up. He said, "You were larger than life to me from the outside looking in. Now I know that you're humble, a servant giver, and very endearing." Right? It's about being relatable.
Yeah.
And that's what most people in sales are unwilling to do when they show up on the internet. Yeah. Because they just assume I've got to be impressive to people as opposed to being relatable. And so I'm so glad you're having that conversation with your daughter because, man, if a young person can get this, that's like, please don't develop your worth based on how many people do or don't watch you on TikTok.
Yeah, it's a recipe for an extremely unhealthy life.
Oof.
Right.
Well,
if you're living your life,
in a lot of cases, a very short life.
Yeah. Yeah.
because people are taking theirs because the internet doesn't think they're as cool as they're supposed to be.
Right.
And man, we've got a weird group of parents right now that are in this weird place with social media, and our kids are watching. And so I think this is even bigger than just a conversation on a podcast. Like I love when I can say, "Hey, Mom, you've got teenage boys at home. Think about what it will do for them for you to live out your fear on video."
Mm-hmm.
And them watching you tackle these challenges that you're uncomfortable with. Like, it's pretty cool.
Yeah.
So.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I just think about, ever since we've started working together, by the way, I want you to share a little bit about what you've been doing for us and what you've been doing for real estate agents out there, because I think this is a potential game changer. Because I know for me, where I struggle is like the bandwidth.
Right.
And usually I'm kicking the can down the road, right? It's like I know I need to post social media. I'll even like write it in my planner. No, do some social media marketing. Yeah. Do that later. And then all of a sudden by the end of the day, I'm like, yeah, we're going to push that till tomorrow. And so what I have found though, through working with you and your company, is there's an accountability piece involved, but it also takes a lot of the stress out of it, or having to figure out a lot of the ins and outs of how to make a great Instagram post. Because I know for me as a millennial, right, it's just really challenging to tackle this Instagram thing or this Facebook thing or to So can you just talk a little bit
before you do,
okay.
We've gotten a bunch of comments and things like that and people that reached out, and I want to share this before you talk about your business, about when our Instagram reels and our Facebook posts got turned from boring and not fun to watch to elevated and very interesting. And so the secret sauce is what he's about to talk about. So those Instagram reels are not us. We are not behind the fact that they're more fun to watch now. They're more dynamic.
Like working my phone.
They're more creative. Those are all this that he's about to describe. So shoot.
Yeah. Can you talk about?
Well, thank you guys. So in the world of video editing, most of the so-called experts in the video world, they're pushing short content, right? Short. We have small attention spans, 30 seconds, 20 seconds, under a minute. And so if people do jump into the world of video, that's all they do. And from an educational standpoint, nobody wants to learn in 30-second clips. That's why we love podcasts. Right, because we can sit down or we can be on a 30-minute drive and really take in good knowledge, good stories, right? And so I looked at that and felt like it was broken. And so what we do is we take long-form video content for you guys. It's the Agent Bridge podcast. And then we edit that for YouTube, second largest search engine on the planet. So if video shows up on Google, it's always YouTube. TikTok videos don't show up on Google.
Yep.
Instagram videos don't show up on Google. YouTube videos do. So we're doing that for long form. But then what I've found is I say the most profound things when I'm in a natural speaking environment. So when somebody says, "Hey, Kyle, be funny for 30 seconds, ready, go." That's not, I'm like, what do you mean? What am I, what, like, I don't know what to do. I'm funny when I'm in a natural environment to allow me to be funny.
Right.
And so most people that are only doing reels, they're always acting. They're never actually giving themselves to be the best version, the most true version of themselves. And so our clients send us long form content, podcast style like you guys. Some clients just record 3 to 5 minute videos about whatever topic they want to talk about. And then the magic happens when, again, I'm not involved and our designers go to work in the background making you look like $1 million. Mm-hmm. And so the beauty of it is y'all are going to record this podcast whether you create micro content from it or not.
Right.
And so now we're able to take effort that you've already committed to and turn it into dozens and dozens and dozens of opportunities for in micro ways to be seen by people.
Right.
And that's what we do through content compounding, and we can do it for anybody. Yeah. And so thanks for letting me talk about it.
Yeah, of course. No, one of the things that I'll just say, and I shared this with you last week, in our mastermind, we were talking about your back end process, because that was the other thing that stood out, is like you have all these touch points, because a lot of times, and I can tell you, when you're getting out there in the social media world, or you're having a social media manager, it gets weird. There's a lot of people who have different philosophies. There's a lot of strange people in that world, right? And so it was really refreshing to come into your place, right, and to have these touch points for refining it. Because I think when we're coming into this process, we don't even know what we want. We don't even know how to articulate what we want. And so we can only have this iterative process. And you come in and you go, all right, here's our touch points, so we can make sure what you wanted to happen is actually happening.
Right.
Because honestly, and I think you know this, and I think this is why you set this up, we don't know what we're doing, and we don't know how to tell you what we want until we see it. Right.
100%.
And so we have this, so it's way easier to criticize than it is to create.
Yeah.
And so it's like, okay, go do this. And then you created these touch points for us to. So tell me about, because I just from a business perspective, because I love that you have this back end process that ensures that a good customer experience.
Well, so first of all, I can't take credit for most of it. Like my team, the people that y'all have met since we've been working together, like they are the whole heart and soul of what we do, and our why it works the way it works. But the conversation early on for us was always, what are the continued struggles we have with every client? And the first one was, they don't know what they want, and they don't know how to tell us what they want. Mm-hmm. And so we had to get in the lab and go, okay, well then how do we solve it? Right? What do we do to make that easy? And I just think a lot of companies aren't really asking that question. They just stay frustrated, and then they're like, man, these people are idiots. We just need smarter people, right? Like that's the answer. Smarter people that have clarity on what they want. And it's like, no, like y'all have giftings that are not in the creative space of video editing. And so that was really it, is just reverse engineering. What are the struggles we get all the time? And then how do we solve them before they ever even show up? Because the more struggles you have, the more ready you are to quit the service.
Well, and I think a lot of times too, people that are sending content to people like yourselves, they want it instantly to be just how they want it. And if you're not articulating, it's not going to be. So you have to work together for a number of months to get it to a place where you're both happy with what you're putting out. And I can assure you that a person that's good at what they do, like content compounding, it takes them several tries to get something that even they're happy with. So you have to give it a little bit of time. You have to understand that it's an iterative process that you're both working towards. And just be patient, because it's not something that everybody's just going to magically instantly work perfectly together.
Well, and RL, that should just make perfect sense what you just said, right? But the reason it doesn't is because I think we all think we should know that. It takes time. Yeah. It's a process. But I don't think most companies actually tell people that. And so one of my favorite proverbs is, where there is no vision, the people perish. And so we are very intentional with, are we casting vision to our people? Do they understand what the goal line looks like and how long it's going to take to get there? And so I just think as we've done this longer, we've done a better job of painting an accurate picture of what this is going to look like. Hey guys, you might hate the first run of content you get back. It's okay. Yeah. We're going to make it better. The more you see, the more opinions you're going to have. And so I think it's keeping that language in front of people. And gosh, I think everybody in business could do a better job of truly casting vision for the people they're working with.
Well, that's why I wanted to even bring this up, is because I think real estate agents need to hear, look, you need to be doing the same thing with your process in helping someone buy or sell a home. Right. And you need to look objectively, step outside of it, because I know you're going 1,000,000 miles an hour as a real estate agent. Where are the places that things fell apart? And then put in structures, put in systems, put in touch points, like a video text, by the way, put in those touch points so you can create that good customer experience time and time again. But it's going to take some work. And I think if you're honest with people on the front end and say, hey, look, there's 35 humans involved. I'm going to miss a step somewhere. Somebody else is going to miss a step somewhere. We're going to fix it.
Yeah.
But, hey, give me some honest feedback on the way so I can make this better for the next person.
More often than not, agents are saying, oh, they were just dumb, or they just didn't understand, or they just, they don't say, maybe I miscommunicated, or maybe I left out a detail, or maybe I left out a step. And so I think that's where a lot of the times it's born of somebody else made a mistake, not me.
Yep.
Well, could you guys imagine, like, if y'all were selling my house, and so again, y'all have done hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of transactions, thousands of transactions. You know how stressful it is for the homeowners when you're setting open houses, and then people can basically say, I'll be there in 30 minutes. And now you're stressing out to get. And so imagine if you jumped on video and were like, hey, Drapers, I know this is a lot, and I know you guys are stressed. Hey, Kyle, check your email. I sent you a $50 gift card to Chili's, and why don't y'all go take the family out to dinner tonight? We've got a showing that just came through, and we just want y'all to know that we appreciate you trusting us in this process. Mm-hmm. And I mean, it's $50, right? Like, now in the industry we're in, that maybe is a little bit more, expensive than it used to be. But I can tell you guys, like, for me, that's cool. But to my wife, who she truly carries the burden of all of those phone calls and those dings on her phone that showing time comes in and says, hey, you've got one in 90 minutes. It just reminds her that, like, there's someone out there fighting her battles on her behalf. And it could result in so much future opportunity.
Yep.
But most people aren't willing to be intentional enough for something like that to ever get implemented.
Yeah, absolutely.
Totally.
Awesome, man. Well, hey, look, how do we find out? So how do we engage with content compounding?
ContentCompounding.com.
Okay. That was difficult.
We'll get you there.
So we'll make sure ContentCompounding.com is in the show notes. Anything else you want us to share with our audience as far as content compounding is concerned?
Man, I mean, if they didn't already get it from listening to this episode, they might be lost.
All right, cool.
So it might actually be best to say, if you're still confused, you need to go get coaching. And so you need to go sign up with the Agent Bridge.
Yeah.
Because you've got some issues and some screws loose. And Brandon and RL and the team, they can fix you.
That's right.
Let me make it very clear. Our long form videos are now edited by Content Compounding. Our short form videos are edited by Content Compounding. And we are using them to post on our behalf. So they are a great service. We trust in them, and we feel like you should as well.
Thanks, guys.
Awesome. Brother, thank you so much for taking some time to be with us today. We always are. It's always easy when you're here. So we appreciate you, and thanks for everything you do.
Appreciate it.
Absolutely. Thanks for having me, guys.
Yep.